The DA is the only party in South Africa that has grown in every national election, and that trend must continue and it must accelerate, because South Africa is in a race against time to save our democracy. All the voters want a strong, united opposition force against a corrupt governing party. That's what they want. They don't want a plethora of tiny parties that spring up like mushrooms in the rain just before an election. And that is why we were all urged to do this deal. If you look at Nkandla's policies and our policies, there's hardly any difference between them at all. So it makes no sense to have two parties contesting on the same platform. That made logical sense to me. Dr. Mpili and I have been talking for years, since 2010, about her joining the Democratic Alliance, and she has waned on and off, and on numerous occasions has told me she's ready, and at the end of last year she came to me and said, now we really must do something. And we moved from there. I eventually took her to the federal executive, who agreed on it, and then she was very keen to ensure that our agreement, which was that she would become our presidential candidate and Nkandla's branches, members and volunteers, would be incorporated into the DA, that should be announced the very next day, because she didn't want more leaks in the newspapers. That I did in good faith. And from that moment, her mind changed within the hour. It was a game of cat and mouse all week, saying one thing to the DA, saying another thing to her supporters and members, saying another thing to the media. Now, obviously, that is no basis for a campaign, and by the end of the week, I had concluded that it would be very, very difficult. She agreed, and she decided not to be our presidential candidate, which I think is the best all round. We've drawn a line under it. It's a risk that did not work. It was made in good faith. We move on. In politics, success is never final. Mistakes are very rarely fatal. This is certainly not a fatal mistake, and the DA will go on.